Fucking hell, bro. What if I have grandkids one day? They can watch this. And by then they're gonna be able to like pull it up in their brain and shit. It's no escaping it. Hello, I'm Chau, and this is Behind the Chameleon for Spaceboy.
We go into space because whatever mankind must undertake, free men must fully share.
See, I remember when Sean, the producer of the song, first sent the beat over to me. I remember just listening to it on loop for like 30 minutes or something, and because I wanted whatever lyrics I was gonna write towards it, I wanted it to fit whatever story the beat was telling me. Not that you always have to do that, obviously, and you can kind of play with that thematically, and you can, based on that contrast, make a story based on that. But I think just as a first song, I wanted them to synergize in a way that made sense. And then after a while, the visualization that I got from the beat was kind of a spaceship taking off almost, and I wanted to kind of compare maybe journeying into space with me journeying into music, just because they're both like such terrifying foreign spaces to me, especially at the time. And yeah, it just seemed like a fitting story to tell, and one you don't always have the opportunity to do, depending on where you are in your tenure. And I know for me personally, with writing, especially when it comes to a song, because it was so abstract at the time, it always is beneficial for me to kind of put a box around whatever we're talking about, just because if I don't, I kind of become overwhelmed by the limitlessness of it. So I think when you found like the overarching theme of space, because it's so vast and there's so much information to pull from, I think that was a good pocket to sit in, because I think with whatever your story you're trying to tell, you can compare it to space kind of and have it make sense with as many allegories as you want to make with it. Which kind of leads to the JFK quote at the beginning of the song, the sample. The actual content of the quote, I feel like just revolves around making sure whatever you're working towards, to make sure you're doing it for yourself and not for anybody else. And also it kind of pertained to the collective effort both me and Sean put into it. So yeah, I thought it was just a cool way to add a little element to it. Flip the switch, change the pitch. You want to chase that dream that you can't resist. You want to be James T or a lyricist. Well, you better cut the shit and not the risk. Be going out of space for the human race. A brand new face for this time and place. I want to transcend everything that came before me. I'm talking Kanye and of course Sigourney. So this part, you're kind of just reinforcing both sides of the comparison I was talking about earlier, because when you're like flipping the switch, that's kind of like the visualization I get in the movies when they're preparing a rocket for liftoff, and then changing the pitch would refer to either editing the music in general or even just changing your approach to something in life even. And James T would refer to Kirk from Star Trek, which I'm honestly not that well versed in, but it kind of fit with whatever we're talking about. And Sigourney would refer to Sigourney Weaver, who played Ripley in Alien, which I watched begrudgingly at a friend's house through my fingers. Shout Philip. And there was, in light of some recent comments, because I did write this like over a year ago at this point, about switching Kanye's name out for somebody else. Jay-Z specifically, because I think it's because the syllables fit, and we're actually coincidentally in the same WhatsApp group chat for having big lips. But I can't say that Jay-Z's music really influenced me as much as the early college trilogy of albums really did, so I kind of just kept them in there for authenticity purposes. And the whole thing about cutting the shit but not the wrist is just kind of about whenever you really commit yourself to an artistic project or something you're really passionate about, there are going to be days and times and hours and minutes where it is so not fun, you know what I mean? But if you actually want it to be finished, you just kind of have to treat it like a blue collar job after a while, and just, you know, record when you don't want to, and edit when you don't want to, and write when you don't want to, and all that stuff. But I think it's also important to not be too hard on yourself, especially when you're starting out, and just give yourself permission to fail and suck and all that stuff, because it's all part of the process of getting better. Now we taking off, no more looking the back, and after burner going hot is the hook on the track. And when you take the first step, you'll be under attack, but you can finally be yourself before you fade into black. I'm gonna see the earth from the solar system. They call them Care Bears cause a polar kissed them. I'm dodging asteroids, but I barely missed them. Life is but a dream, that's a merely wisdom. So on both journeys, I imagine, into space or music or anything completely new, there is a moment where it gets a little bit rockier than you expected it to. And I know for me, that trepidation and that struggle usually stems from my own internal criticism, which comes back later in the song. But yeah, this section is just about, staying the course and reminding yourself why you wanted to start in the first place. Bring the beat back, never kick your feet back, sit back and no relax, that's when you gonna see cracks. In your ass and skill, you gotta take that first shot and go in for the kill. The how you get off this adventure doesn't come in a pill. I go infinity beyond some king of the hill. Yeah, I used to watch King of the Hill back in the day with my sister at like 2 a.m. eating pizza pockets from the microwave and shit, in between like reruns of Fear Factor and Everybody Hates Chris. I didn't really understand it at the time, admittedly, because I was so young, but whenever my sister laughed, I would just laugh too, so she'd think it was cool as a 6-year-old. But ever since, the show was iconic for a reason, I had Bobby holding up the devil horns as my profile picture for a while. But I feel like the best scene, or the most memorable one that's coming to me at the time, right now, is the scene where Bobby and his girlfriend are trying to have sex for the first time because they really want to, but they don't know what it is or how it works, so they just end up they're both shirtless, they're just holding hands while lying down in separate beds.
Okay. You've got a pretty body. Thank you. Here goes.
So how is it with Chain? Wow!
And then there's the most iconic quote from the show, which is, "Spaceship runs on propane accessories. Didn't want to say it, but hey, yo bae, obsessed with me. Portals to my crib like she Alan Silvestri. Then after I hit it, I'll be extraterrestrial. Yeah, cause of this world I dip. Girl, I'd love to text you back, but there's no phones on ship. You might see me in a flash like I'm John Wesley shit, but otherwise you can catch me on the side of the flips." I do really like the rhyme scheme of accessories, obsessed with me, Silvestri, terrestri. It's just super fun to say and it just rolls off the tongue super well. So yeah, Sean is a big fan of movie soundtracks, and one of his favorites is the Portals theme from Endgame, which was composed by Alan Silvestri, so that was just a little shout to him. And John Wesley Shipp is the actor who played the Flash in the initial 1990 series, and then Barry's dad in the recent show. Yeah, it's just always fun, isn't it, to talk about how you hypothetically had sex with a woman and then just ghost her afterward. It's like a classic rap archetype a bit. Not that I've ever done that as of this recording, but you never know. Goes to aliens, supernatural. All these other rappers sound supernatural. If you an average Joe, then you're probably gonna be her. You're not an astronaut, cause this is NASA on your t-shirt. The clothes don't make the man. If you were listening, turn your dreams into plans. I wanna make my parents proud, arrogant and astounded. Like hearing me, my son, Earth revolves around him. Yeah, I don't really know when NASA went from this prestigious, untouchable top dog corporation to now it's just on sweatpants and shit, you know what I mean? I don't know, it's kind of sad. It's a pretty big fall from grace, to be honest with you. And I feel like it's always biggest idiots wearing those clothes too. I don't know, maybe I'm just projecting, I don't know. Too big for my britches, ego always intact until it takes a few shots, got me falling right back. Hyperspeed, now I've been falling backwards into overseas, and one more wrong word, I forget who I'm supposed to be. Hopefully soon that I'll be back up on my Odyssey. Mirrors me every time I punch, then so does he. So this is kind of the point in the song where, no matter what you're trying to pursue, there is going to be some semblance of adversity, and you can brush most of it off, but there's inevitably going to be something that cuts through the armor a little bit, and that seed of self-doubt gets planted, and you start second-guessing yourself and wondering whether you're really doing what you're meant to be. And I thought it'd be cool to kind of visualize that in the song as the spaceship getting shot out of the sky a little bit, and you're falling backwards, feeling like you're losing out on all the progress you made, you know what I mean? And like I said before, for me, it usually stems from my own internal self-talk, which is not helpful, but yeah, that kind of carries us through the rest of the song and the remainder of the last verse, which is pretty much just me yelling at myself. Look him in the face, shadow box him in the mirror. Tell it to him straight, never gonna be clear. Really Hugh, he be saying now when near another other. Push it all the way, and that is how I met your mother. So for this, I always think of the scene from Creed where Adonis is standing in front of the mirror and Rocky points at his reflection and he says, "This right here is your toughest opponent. I believe that in boxing, and I do believe that in life." And I feel like the traditional advice for stuff like that, whether you're facing criticism from other people or from yourself, is to just kind of stuff it down and keep going on the path that you believe in. But I think there is like a nice balance to hit between there, where you're obviously not letting any small comment like drag you down to the bottom of the ocean, but you're also not being completely dismissive of everything that you're hearing. Because I think in most instances, there is some substance to any form of criticism, usually. And I think it's important to learn how to filter out which comments are constructive so you can toss it in the recycling bin, and which ones you can kind of say fuck off to and, stuff it in the green bin. Smells like ass. You say fucking with a star, consolation, consummation, talking shit won't get you far, conversation, constipation, staying shape, staying power, confirmation, conservation, don't just think about the bar, condensation, contemplation, but raise it. Send the motherfucker in orbit. If I drop a dozen bars, you can bet there'll be a sword. I'ma do a show on Mars if anybody can afford it. Your parents call you Pluto, the planet they aborted. So just to change up the flow, which I remember wasn't planned at the time, I just started writing and it came naturally. We have like, at the beginning, each line kind of verbalizes the one before it. And I know the last one, don't just think about the bar, condensation, contemplation was a bit of a stretch, but when you just think about the bar, you think about the glasses and like the bubbles forming on it. And the drop a dozen bars, you can bet there be a sword. It was kind of a shout out to how me and Sean first met when we were both working at Tim Hortons. And I kind of missed that job, not gonna lie to you. I feel like the best Tim Hortons story was one that I wasn't even present at. So hopefully telling the second hand, I won't like butcher the whole thing, but legend has it, once upon a time there was this older woman, I believe, and she pulled up to the drive-thru and she was being allegedly a little impatient. And as she was ordering her coffee, she was like, "Do you guys have fresh milk here? Does your location have fresh milk?" And then without like a moment's hesitation, my buddy got on the headset and he was like, "Don't worry, ma'am, I am milking the cow as we speak." And then she pulled up, to the window, red in the face, and just grabbed her coffee and drove off in haste. Is that my favorite? I feel like it's either that one or the one where we threw garbage bags on the roof. I'm a star among the stars, call me Patrick on the walk of fame, powered of the pie, white ras, a forgotten name. Ain't nobody gonna remember you, who never took a chance, blew a shot, and missed a cue, proved the critics right, then it's slowly gonna be one, and now you go in line, and you never really see sun. Write a blog post about rapper life's painless, particularly a wish could get kissed upon Uranus. So this section is kind of another back and forth conversation, kind of giving myself some of that tough love, which probably isn't the most healthy coping mechanism, but it could definitely light a fire under your ass when you need it. And I know for my own mindset, when I start criticizing somebody or I want to talk shit, it usually does stem from a certain level of envy, especially with celebrities and anyone of fame and status. I feel like I and a lot of people find it easy to dissociate celebrities from human beings almost. Like, because they've reached a certain level of wealth and fortune, based on that level of success, we almost grant ourselves permission to hurl some super hateful speech at these people without feeling guilty about it. So yeah, this section in the song is just about realizing that criticism can stem from a certain level of jealousy and not being happy about your own life, again, speaking for myself. And it also kind of establishes the pessimistic side of my personality almost as like a separate entity, in the form of an online reviewer. Yeah, internet connection is an important asset. Just want to be like, dude, have you pulled in the ass yet? You sleep in race cars and you're always gonna be bored. I'm dropping space bars. Why are you behind the keyboard? That was definitely one where I thought of the ending line and then you kind of weave and build a story around it. I want to say I was like either going down or upstairs when I thought of that line, and I like ran over to my notes app to make sure I didn't forget it. But yeah, the last line is always important to me because it can often be the lasting memory upon first listen for people. And yeah, it just seemed like it tied a nice bow around things, tying both things back together in the end. Alright, so that was Behind the Chameleon for Spaceboy. Sorry, this is definitely a lot longer than I wanted it to be. I could be a rambly boy, but appreciate you listening. Hopefully while you're eating some dinner or something like that. But yeah, the song is out now, everywhere. Hopefully by the time this comes out. I hope you enjoy it and kind of see where I was coming from in making it. But yeah, thank you for listening, and stay tuned for any other tunes that may or may not be on their way. All right, thanks. I'll talk to you later. Love you.